I am not great at Minecraft PvP, but I want to become one day, and to do that I need to know things that not everybody knows. So that's why I asked tons of Minecraft YouTubers for PvP advice.
My best advice might sound a bit generic, but it's to practice and stay consistent. At the end of the day, you are your best teacher. So by queuing into matches and reviewing your mistakes, you have no choice but to improve. Everything takes time, and with enough of it and a little bit of endurance through the hardships, you will ultimately be better at PvP.
Hi Pouty. My PvP advice for you is that you should always focus on the aspects of the game mode that you're worst at when practicing. So for example, if you have a game mode like ekkz PvP, you obviously have things like stunning, backstabbing, running, bowing and everything, and when you combine all of those and master all of them by themselves, you'll basically get a really good playstyle. So you just focus on what you're worst at and try to put everything together. That's my piece of advice for every single game mode.
Hey Pouty, here's some of my professional pufferfish PvP tips. Tip 1. Tip number 1 is to duel players that are way better than you. You can easily just rewatch the footage where you went wrong and just copy their strats. Seems to work. Tip 2. Decent aim's a pretty important thing to have as well, especially in Mace. I usually just abuse the carpet mods and firework Mace a whole bunch. When you go back to normal Mace, it's way slower paced. Tip 3. Stun slams. I find having 2 keybinds for the axe and mace next to each other while pairing that with a double click seems to be the best formula for a perfect stun slam. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it, but this is how I do it. It even works with firework macing, which is pretty fun. Well, those are all my tips. Hope you enjoyed and I hope it helps. Good luck with your video, pow pow.
Okay, so my tip would be have some good drip. Okay, no, but seriously, have low sense and high DPI. Because I'd say my DPI and sense range is good, but yeah, 1200 DPI and then around 20 to 30 cents. But yeah, that's my tip. So I guess subscribe to Pouty.
My advice for Minecraft PvP is try to have a good mental when you fight, because if you don't have a good mental, you're gonna get mad and then you're gonna play way worse.
Yo, what's up? My advice is honestly don't play the game 24/7. It won't make you better. Just train against people who are better than you so you'll get better as effectively as possible. Dueling people worse than you obviously won't make you much better. And if it does, it'll take a lot longer.
Yo, hey Patty, so my best PvP advice is to watch your footage back and actively look for mistakes. Even in game when you're playing, you should always just keep mental notes and see what the other person is doing. Also, having someone with a higher tier in VC while you're, for example, testing or mocking also helps with that, as they can keep track of what you're doing better than you can sometimes.
Hi Pouty, my PvP advice is people should learn how to shield stun. Okay, so the way you do a shield stun is you perform an attribute swap between your sword and your axe. So you start on your sword, and then when you want to disable the shield, you switch to your axe and then quickly back to your sword. But an important piece of advice is to click when you're on your axe and not on your sword, as that won't disable the shield. And you have to make sure that when you perform the shield stun, you have to either do a double click or click twice, as that'll actually stun the shield and that'll like knock the player back a bit. This is a PvP trick that's very important for shield based game modes, especially trying to play at the high level against better opponents. So yeah.
Okay, so my top tip for Mace is that the higher you are, the more damage you deal. So you gotta use wind charges to get up. So if you do this, right, and then yeah, you do more damage. You get me? Oh, that's like fucking stage. I might just ask.